I'm Michelle. My business is Kiriki Press, and 5 years ago I discovered my love for embroidery by chance, and I make things. I first started making the embroidered dolls for my niece. I was asked to be her godmother, and I didn't really have any money at the time. I was pretty broke in between jobs, so I decided to watch some YouTube videos because she was one at the time. So I wanted to make something that was safe for her to play with, so no like buttons for eyes or anything, but that was quite textured. So I thought embroidery would be like absolutely perfect for a 1-year-old and something that would just fit in her little hands. So I decided to watch some YouTube videos, and I just instantly fell in love with embroidery. As soon as I started stitching, it just felt very instinctual, and I started designing. And I do have a fine arts background. I studied printmaking at OCAD, so the combination of screen printing with the embroidery came really naturally, and I just realized right off the bat it would have been so much easier to actually have printed the pattern on the fabric first instead of just the pencil drawings that I did when I first started. So it took a little bit of time, but eventually I figured out a concept and turned those original 3 dolls I made for her into a business. All of my patterns start out as pencil sketches. They go through a lot of different iterations. Like I'm generally just spend a couple months like sketching on napkins and scrap pieces of paper, and eventually they make it onto the computer, and that's where all of the work starts with turning all of the marks into embroidery stitches. When I first started Kiriki Press, it was out of my dad's garage. I just had a really basic setup of a table with hinges, and I didn't even really have anywhere to wash my screens out except for a bathtub. So it's been really, really wonderful to finally been able to, move from my dad's garage to my first apartment in Toronto, where I was screen printing out of the living room, and finally into a studio space. The space we're in right now, it's called Noble Craft House, and it's not only the production studio for Kiriki Press, but it's also a residency space for makers. And I've actually had people come and use the space. I had an artist from the UK come for 6 weeks, and she was working on rug hooking and painting. So I love the fact that I can offer that aside from having a studio to work in myself. Having my business as my full-time job is more than I ever dreamed of. I never ever thought that things would go the way that they did, that people would like the kits as much as they do, and that I actually get to be like a full-time creator now. There's probably 200 different stitches, and I use around 30 at the moment in all of my patterns, so there's so many different stitches to learn and also different styles of embroidery. And so I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of what's possible with embroidery, which I find really exciting. Like I think that this is going to be a really long journey into exploring needlework, and this is just the beginning. So I'm super excited to see what comes next.